Okay, guys, welcome to the Choose Life podcast. Thank you for joining again. Those of you that watch fairly regular will know that my co-host is usually the beautiful Fitness Hutch, Mel, and I've got a bit of a reputation for ribbing her and taking the piss out of her a little bit during the podcast. However, today we've got a very special guest who I won't be ribbing and I won't be taking the piss out of because he is former British and Commonwealth light heavyweight boxing champion, Callum The One Johnson.
How you doing?
Good man, how are you?
I'm not bad.
That's
good.
the right introduction, isn't it?
Yeah. British Commonwealth champion, and I suppose you could have put Commonwealth Games gold medalist in as well. But
well, there we go. You've put it in, so we'll keep that in there. So I think what I wanted to start with really was I'm thinking about the local area. I'm thinking about Boston, and I know who you are. I've known of you for a long time. I don't know if you know. We have met before.
Yeah, I remember you from Evolution.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think I'd not long won my belt then, my British title, and I'd come in and was like seeing everyone had photos and things like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you brought it in well. Also, my kids went to the same school your kids went to. Yeah, and I used to see you a bit in the playground. And I remember one day, my daughter must have recognised you. I don't know, because she said, "Is that boxer?" And she was only like, I think she was about 7 at the time. And I went, "Yeah, it is." She went, "Why don't you go say hello?" I was like, "Because he's picking his kids up from school." And I think when I was thinking about this interview, it got me thinking about, I know people that you hang around with. I know people that you play golf with. Like they plastered this house. So,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So I know loads of people that you know. Do you see yourself as just Callum Johnson from Boston, or do you see yourself as this nationally recognised boxer? Because I've got subscribers who know who you are that live in London and Manchester, and they're all excited to come on. So
no, I just see myself as Callum from Boston. A lot of my mates always ask me that question, and say people know me from London, as you say. A couple of times I've been in London, and random people have recognised me and come and said, "Oh, Callum, blah blah, can I have a photo?" and things like that. And the people that I'm with, I'm like, "Oh, that's mad. How does that make you feel?" And I'm like, it's kind of don't make me feel any. Don't get me wrong, it's nice. It's nice when people recognise you and come and ask you for a picture and things like that. But it doesn't make you feel, I don't know, doesn't give me an ego or anything like that. I'm just Callum from Boston and always have been and always will be.
Yeah, and that's pretty good because it's humble, and it keeps you down to earth.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but most boxers, especially.
Yeah.
I can't really talk about other sports because I've not been involved in other sports. But boxers, every boxer I've ever known, they're the most humblest people, down to earth people you'll ever find, and never ever change. You get the odd one or two, but it's we don't change. We're always the same person that we was from when we was a kid. Around the council estate.
Yeah. And I think that seems. I don't know if that's fighting on a whole, but I know that I've met Matt Hallam. He come up and did some stuff at Waynfleet Jiu Jitsu. Did a seminar up there. And then I've been to his restaurant and we had a conversation. And he was saying the same about his restaurant. Like he could have gone and had his restaurant in Nottingham or probably anywhere around the UK, but he decided to set it up in his local town. And I think that's quite an important thing that people do that. And like we were just saying a minute ago, most of the other people, other than the boxers that are locally, have left. Have left the town.
Yeah. I think it's. Without, I love the town. That's Boston. I love the town. Boston through and through. I'm still here. But you talk about footballers or other sports people, without being too, I don't want to say disrespectful to Boston or whatever, but there isn't anything here for Boston, for the people of Boston. If you start being successful in a certain sport, you have to leave. I've spent most of my career on the road anyway. All my boxing hasn't been done in Boston as such. It's been done in Manchester. As an amateur, it was done in Lincoln. It was done in Scotland. I was travelling the country. So there isn't too much in Boston for professional, successful sports people to stay, to be fair. But like you say, I'm still here. I don't know. Like I say, I've never left. Years ago, my dad used to always say to me, "You got to move, son. You need to move. You need to move." And I don't know. Something just kept me here for some reason.
Do you think if you had left, do you think you would have gone further?
Possibly. It's hard to say, because you look at what I have achieved. People say, "Oh, but you've achieved this and you've done that," and I always think to myself, "I've underachieved." Maybe if I'd have moved, maybe I would have achieved more. But again, it's hindsight. We'll never know. It's a question you can't be
Yeah,
answered.
yeah.
And maybe if I'd have moved, I wouldn't have been happy and I'd have come back anyway. So,
Yeah.
it's something we.
Just to be clear, you haven't underachieved. Like, never feel like you've underachieved.
Yeah, no.
I know people who have underachieved,
Yeah,
and
but
sitting there with 2 belts on your shoulders, man, that is not underachieving.
no, you're right. You are right. And, I do look at my career and what I have achieved as an amateur and a pro. And, I can be proud of it. I've achieved a lot. Like you say, I'm the first person and only person, as it stands, from Boston to achieve what I've achieved. So, I mean, but when I look at some of the things I've missed out on, some of it not my fault, but some of it has been my fault over the years. Again, I think, you could have done this, or maybe you could have done that, and that's what I've underachieved a little bit on what I could have done or should have done, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You feel like you probably could have done
Yeah.
more than what you have. It's not that
Yeah.
you've so much
No.
getting them belts and representing your town. I mean, you are probably the most recognisable person from Boston.
Possibly.
There's
Possibly.
There's not many other people from round here that have achieved that kind of level of success.
No. That's what I mean. So, like you say, I'm proud of what I've done. And like I say, maybe I'm being hard on myself. But knowing what I know and knowing how good I've been and everything else, I just think like shoulda, woulda, coulda. But
Yeah.
maybe if I'd have been a world champion, maybe I'd be sat here now as a former world champion, going, oh, I should have been a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's all ifs and
It's
buts.
so easy to say, isn't it? And
yeah.
I know I've had the conversation with my wife Mel, and I say, like, if I'd stayed in the army, I would have been retired now. I would have, my 24 years would have been this year, and I would be out, and I'd have a massive pension, and I have a fucking shitload of money. But the 3 or 4 people that I'm in with didn't make it out. And I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have this house. We wouldn't be here right now. So you can always say, well,
there's hindsight, that is something we haven't got that we'd like to have. If I'd done this differently, if I'd have done that differently, I think sometimes you have to accept the choices you made, accept the way it went, and you have to kind of make the best out of what you've got now. And that's kind of where I'm at in my career, life, whatever. I suppose that's where you're at, and that's it. You can think about what could have been or what should have been, but as you say, if you hadn't have come out when you did, you wouldn't have had your wife, your kids, and everything else. So your life for you has turned out better.
It might not have turned out at all.
No, well, there you go. There you go. You might not have been here.
Might not have been here.
So everything could have been different, but I think you have to kind of appreciate where you are, what you've got, and what you've done.
Yeah, I think mindset is very much plays a big part in that. And one of the things that I've been talking about quite a bit recently is looking where you've come from and how far you've come, but then looking at where you're going. So many people dwell on what's happened in the past, where they've been, where they've gone wrong, mistakes they've made, and because they're doing that, they're restricting themselves from going back forward again.
100%. I think that's something I've done over the last, not so much right now, but back end of last year and the early part of this year, I was like, obviously I retired. I announced my retirement, or quit, if you like. I say quit. And I was like, what am I going to do? I put all my eggs in one basket. I genuinely thought I was going to crack it. I was going to be a world champion, and I was not going to have to worry about what I was going to do after. And I was there thinking, wow, that didn't really end and go how I thought it would. What am I going to do? And I suppose I've still got that a little bit now. Obviously I've announced that I'm coming back, one last roll, and see what happens. But I'm still in that little bit of like, what am I going to do? Because boxing is, listen, I ain't got too long left. I'm coming back, but it's only going to be what is it going to be? 2 years max.
Mm.
You know, I'll be 40. Like I said, what am I going to do? You know, I don't know. I don't know.
So when you retire, so it's been 18 months?
No, I announced my retirement November last year.
Oh, was it November last
Yeah,
year,
I
was
was
it?
due to fight for the European title on December the 3rd, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think it was like beginning of November, I just sort of went, done. Can't do it anymore. Quit.
So
And
I remember seeing a social media post that you put on when you retired. It was quite a heartfelt post.
yeah.
Talking about how you was done. I won't go into the whole post, but it was quite a long, heartfelt post. What kind of mindset was you in at that point?
Just I felt like a failure.
Mm.
I felt like a failure. I felt like I'd let myself down. Felt like I'd let my dad down. Felt like I'd let everybody down. My team, my family, my friends, the town even. And I said, I'm not going to stay and say, oh, I'll do it for the town. There is a part of me that does it for the town as well, of course. And I felt like I just let everybody down. But mainly my dad and myself, really. And obviously my kids and everything else. Yeah, it just felt like a failure.
Remember you put a post on social media saying, "Does anyone got any jobs going?"
Yeah, like I always kept my sense of humour, even through it. You know, kind of like I mean, since my dad died, especially, I've gone through stages where I've been in real dark places.
Yeah.
And I'll come out of it and I'll be all right for a few months and I'll go back into it. And, you know, I always have since losing my dad. You know what? You kind of learn. I think you learn to live with. I'm not to say live with it, but you learn to. I think you learn. I learned about myself over the last 7 years since losing my dad. I've learned more about myself than It's the first time I had to kind of. I was on my own, and it was like going through these crazy emotions and these crazy downtimes and depression and whatever you want to call it. I got to the stage where I was in and out of these depression, whatever, I don't know whether you call it depression. I think it was depression. And I learnt a lot about myself over the last 7 years, and I've learnt to understand myself, understand my own emotions, and I still, to this day, I can still go through them. But now, when them stages arise, I recognise it far quicker, understand it far better, and know that it's just a passing moment, and I don't dwell on it like I used to do, and I kind of know how to manage it now and get out of it relatively quickly, to be honest. But it took some getting used to, and I think the longest period I think was about 8 weeks. I never left my house. One time, and I'd left my bedroom, let alone the house, and that was kind of the worst it's ever been, and that was quite a while ago. But it happened, say, when I retired. I spent about 4 weeks in the house, 4 or 5 weeks, didn't leave. And
You lose a bit of purpose.
yeah, just lost purpose. Like you say, felt like a failure. Felt like, what am I going to do? Felt like I'd let everyone down. And I was even thinking to myself, like I was getting quite. I'd be, not, I won't say, I don't know. I'd be off with my missus because I'd be kind of thinking to myself, why would she even want to be with me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a failure. I'm a loser. Well, and I'd be off with her, and I'd be like trying to push her away, if you like, trying to push her away from me, because I'm thinking in my head, she must be thinking this way about me, because that's what I am, and I'd be pushing her away, and
that's a dangerous mindset, isn't it?
yeah,
That's a real dangerous mindset.
I was that like you say, I was in a horrible place, really. Yeah, like I said, but I've been there. I've been in that kind of mindset 3 or 4 times since losing my dad. But I don't think it's hard. You can never say never.
No.
But I don't think I'll ever go back there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I get where you are with that, because I've been, and this is well documented. I've had my own issues, and again, nothing major, but I've had periods where I've barely left the house, and I accredit my recovery to combat sports, to going to jiu-jitsu and training, and I'm now, obviously, I went up to see Paul Moore, who's a massive inspirational guy, and I was driving up there, and I thought at this point I thought I got my shit together, and I've told this story. I thought I'm doing pretty well. I'm listening to his audiobook on the way up there, and I was like, fucking hell, I ain't got my shit together at all. and so now, but I am now in this mindset where I genuinely believe I'm over all that. I'm on this trajectory of doing amazing things, and off the back of that, when I was talking to him, he mentioned you. He talked about an event. He said, "Oh, from Boston." He says, "Oh yeah, that's where Callum's from." And he said, "Yeah, I was going to go to an event." So he mentioned you, and that got the clock ticking again in my head about I'm going to try and get Callum on. That would be a really good idea.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw you post a couple of things that Paul Mort had posted, and I thought, so I knew that you was obviously following Paul Mort, and he knew you were. So I thought, well, actually, if I give you a shout, so off the back of that mindset, suddenly things start to happen.
Yeah.
And then you start to believe that the positive mindset does improve things. And looking at the negative stuff all the time, you end up getting worse.
You can't. If it's like you know, if you just look at the negatives of everything, and you're in that negative mood, and all you can get from it is negative stuff. And you won't even see the positives. They can be right in front of your face, and you'll not see them if you're in that negative mindset. But like I say, it's easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? But like you say, I still have them days where I do. You just wake up and you just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But it's a case of doing it anyway.
I think it's how you process them days and how you deal and move forward. Because if you're the same the next day and the next day and the next day, that's when it becomes a problem.
That's when it becomes a problem, and it's like if you don't address it on that first day, they say it happens again on the second day, the third day, you start falling into that hole again, and it becomes a problem. If you address it on the first day and know that I'm feeling this way, but I know that if I do this and I do that and I do this, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So then you do it, even though it feels like the hardest thing to do at times. You could even do is lay in bed and feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the worst thing to do. It's like I say, do the easy things, and it makes tomorrow hard. I know it's like you say, it's an old cliche, an old saying that people say, but it's true. It's true. You got to do what's hard, and you'll make tomorrow easy. And the gym, for me, I always preach about the gym to people. The gym is my medicine.
Yeah.
If I'm not in the gym, I can feel myself spiraling out of control. And as long as I'm in the gym, I'm happy. I'm releasing them good endorphins, and I'm getting that fix that I need on a daily basis. And the hardest day for me sometimes is a Sunday, because you're not in the gym and you just sat back twiddling your thumbs, and you're like, and you can start, because you underdo it, and you start overthinking. And you find yourself in that miserable mood. But again, you just kind of have to shake your head a little bit and give yourself talking to.
Yeah. So you again, you posted recently picture of where you had been, how you was feeling, how you looked compared to how you look and where you're training now. This big comparison. This is how I was. This is how I am now. What sparked this period of change?
Just the same thing, I think, that sparked it on the previous times. I can't live like this. I just sat there thinking, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm blessed with beautiful family. I've got so much more than a lot of people have got, and I'm here depressed and feeling sorry for myself. Right, and you sort of ask yourself why, and I just thought, I can't. I've got to sort this out. I can't live like this for myself and for my kids. But I think when people say, as well, for me anyway, people say, "Oh, I'll do it for my kids and I'll do it for my family and everything else." I think for me, it had to be for myself, because I think if you go through any problems, whether it be mental depression or I would say, I'd even use it for, say, people that are like drug addicts and things like that. And someone might say to a drug addict, "Oh, you got to get yourself clean for your kids or for your missus or for what?" I think it's the wrong thing. You've got to do it for yourself.
Got to. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't do it unless it's for yourself. You can't do it.
No.
When you're if you're in a bad place, it has to be for you.
Yeah.
And I think this time I thought, I've got to do it for me. Yeah. And then if I'm doing it for myself and I'm self-love, self-care, I can be a better person, to be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better son, to be a better person in general. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. 100% agree. And I think again, this is something I've talked about with quite a lot of people. You do need people around you to help you. And I'm absolutely blessed. My wife's been a mental health nurse for 20 odd years, so she recognises when things.
Maybe I could do a scene on myself.
Yeah. So she recognises when things are going wrong a little bit, and she'll say to me, "Is your mood taking a dip? Is this?" And which is great, but that's good to recognise it. That's good for her to help me recognise it. But again, I needed to. So I train with Richard Wallace, who used to have Pride MMA. Do you know Richard?
No.
So Richard used to have Pride MMA in Boston, and that closed down. So we was training at. In fact, we weren't training anywhere. We both went to Evolution together, and then I stopped training because it come to the pandemic, and we couldn't. No one could fucking train anywhere. And this is sort of when I started to get a little bit low in mood, and I don't really say depression. It was low mood and anxiety more than anything. And I remember him messaging me, and I'd been off work for quite a few weeks. I was due to go back. I was still feeling pretty shit. I hadn't left the house, and he said, "Oh, do you know George?" I'm going to tell the full story because I've already told it on so many podcasts. But he said, "Do you know George from Wainfleet that does the jiu-jitsu? I'm going to start going over. Do you want to come?" And I said yes, even though I hadn't left the house for fucking ages, because I knew if I didn't say yes for me, no one else could say yes. I had to say it, and I knew if I committed to go in training with him, I would have to do it. Because I wouldn't be able to pull out. I wouldn't be able to let somebody down. But nobody else could force me to do that. That had to be my choice. And it turned out to be the best choice I've ever made because, mate, I thought I was going to be sick in the day leading up to it, having to go. And I remember traveling up there and I just fucking felt like crap. And then, but when I got home, I was absolutely buzzing. And it was almost like a switch had just gone.
People ask me about, you say the feelings of anxiety that they get, and I just say to them, just do it.
Just gotta do it.
Just do it, and it'll be the best thing you ever do, and you'll thank yourself after, and you'll feel such a buzz that you've never felt before. And as scary as it might be, and as I don't think I've ever suffered with that kind of anxiety where, like you say, the way people talk about it, like you say, they get out of breath and they're that scared and nervous. I mean, I don't think I've ever kind of suffered with that, so it's hard for me to compare. But you have nerves and anxiety nerves. I've had that plenty of times.
So when we're talking about that and the nerves and the anxiety, one of the things that I wanted to ask, and this came from my daughter strangely today, and I'd already made a note to kind of talk about this. My daughter said, "So this guy that's coming then, where's he boxed?" And I said, "Loads of places. Has he ever been to Brazil?" I said, "I don't know if he's ever been to Brazil." She went, "Well, haven't you spoke to him yet?" I said, "Well, I have through text, but I didn't think of asking him if he's ever been to Brazil." But what I was thinking was, what is the biggest venue, like capacity-wise, that you've boxed in front of?
I think it's the O2.
The O2?
Yeah. No, the MEN. The MEN Manchester. I think it holds 20,000 or something like that. But actually, there was the O2. I think the O2 had about 15,000 in it when I boxed there. So I think it's around 15,000, the biggest crowd I've boxed in front of.
And what's that like when you're, because I've fought at Peterborough Open and in front of about 5 people, and I was fucking nervous going on to do that.
Do you know what? I think you're nervous. If I've boxed in front of 100 people, I've boxed in front of say 15,000 people. You're just as nervous both times. You don't really, for me anyway. You could box in front of 90,000. The nerves are the same because I think you're nervous because you're passionate about what you're doing. You want to win. You want to perform. You got a lot of eyes on you as well. More so the telly as well. You got to think that there's hundreds of thousands watching you on the telly. So again, but it's more so that I think your nerves have come from the fact that you're passionate about what you're doing and you want to perform. Not so much the people that are watching you in the crowd, because again, you respect the fans there watching and everything else, but again, you're not really doing it for them. You're not really thinking about them, and you're doing it for yourself again, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, you want to entertain them, and you want to look good doing it. But I think the nerves come from the fact of the want to win, and again, wanting to perform well.
Yeah. So it doesn't hinder or help your performance? You know, when they say a football team plays at home, they play better at home because they've got the home crowd. Does fighting, and this, I'm not talking about home crowd, I'm just mean like if you're fighting in front of 100 people, with regards to your performance, would it be the same?
Yeah.
Is it?
For me, I'd imagine everyone's different. For me, I don't think it matters whether I fight in front of 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. I think it's just the passion about what you're doing anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, the crowd doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah. I just think fucking, like, you know, like people that get stage fright and stuff. You can imagine, like, and you watch people. I mean, boxing's pretty big, and it's not as big as, I would say it's not as big as it used to be. But in my mind, I suppose, like I mean, we're not many years apart. You 38?
38, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 42, and I remember growing up in the times when we would be like the big boxing matches would just be on Sky Sports on the Saturday night. You know what I mean? You'd watch Bruno and Tyson,
There
and
was always one. I remember when I was growing up, Friday Fight Night Live every Friday. They used to have like a British title fight or something like that. It's gone more to the pay-per-view now, and the big stadiums, and I think there's a little bit more, I don't know, more politics involved now. I don't know, but
do you think that's ruined boxing at all?
I don't say it's ruined it, because when you look at the numbers of the crowds that we get, and they are far bigger now than they used to be. You know, the biggest fights are for far more money now than they used to be. So I can't say it's ruined it really, but there's a lot of downsides to it that, you know, that people don't like. But maybe they've always been there, but we never just knew about it because social media. You've talked back to the Bruno days and Lennox Lewis days, and we never had social media, so we never knew about any of the stuff that went on behind the scenes. All we saw was what was on the telly on the Saturday night, and that's all we knew. So maybe it's a social media that's allowing us to see what goes on more. So everyone's thinking, oh, boxing's ruined, or this is ruined, or there's too much politics. Maybe it's always been there.
I suppose it depends what angle you're looking at it from. 'Cause it's easy for, let's say, a huge boxing fan who goes, do you know what, I used to be massive into boxing, but I don't watch anymore because you've got to get BT Sports, and then it's a pay-per-view after that, and I just don't want to pay it out. So you look at it from that kind of point of view. You think, okay, maybe for that fan, it's been marred a little bit because it makes it harder for them to watch. But from a boxer's point of view, I mean, wrongly or right, if you're going out there and getting your fucking head punched in, you want to be earning as much money and as much. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100% you do,
because you are putting yourself at high risk.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, you know, worst case scenario, you don't go home, do you?
Yeah.
I know it don't happen that often, but it does happen.
Do you have that in the back of your mind before you
go?
Never. Don't never think that.
No.
No.
Like you say, don't get me wrong. You do think about it sometimes. Like you say, talking about it now.
Yeah.
And you know, the reality is it could happen, but no, it's not something that ever crosses my mind when I'm actually like getting ready to fight. It's never crossed my mind.
You can't think like that.
Nah, it's not. It's not something that, you know. And you kind of think as well. If you're honest, you always think that never happened to me.
Yeah,
anyway, you know. But it can. But
yeah, and I suppose like it's not the same thing. But so when I was in the army, I was in Bosnia, and you think there's fucking landmines all over. Yeah. There's fucking people with assault rifles on the streets, like. But you don't think about it. You don't think, oh, when I go on this patrol, I could get shot, because that's not where your head is.
It's not the right mindset to have, is it? When you're out there on the battlefield, you're not like, oh, I could not go home. I could be dead in an hour.
Yeah,
it's not.
It
don't cross your mind, does it?
I've seen interviews with Formula One drivers where they've asked the same question. They said a split second for them, and you life's over. And they said, you cannot think like that as a driver, because if you think like that, then you're distracted and you're more likely to make a mistake.
100%. And the faster going, it's
nice. So thinking about like where boxing is now, you've also got the birth of MMA, the UFC, and I know it's a lot more mainstream now, but it's come through really quick. I mean, 10 years ago, it was nothing like it is now. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you think it's likely to? Can it take over boxing? Is it already matching it, or is it just another sport that's alongside?
Yeah, I think it's just another sport that's alongside. I mean, they're doing a lot of crossover, aren't they now? Which is like, it's crazy. Really.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm one of these that kind of I don't mind it, and so a lot of people don't like it, and say, but at the end of the day, the fighters are making a lot of money doing it,
Yeah.
and the people want to see it
They're
because
entertaining
that's
people.
why the money's there for people to see it. So I quite like it, and this Jake Paul thing with the YouTube fighters and things like that. I mean, I love all that. I mean,
Do you love that?
not the actual boxing, but
The theatrics
yeah,
of it.
fair play to them. Do you know what I mean? The money they're earning for the level of boxers they are, it's crazy. But fair play, because if I could do it, I'd do it.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and
I would. I'd fight Jake Paul tomorrow if he offered.
exactly,
If he said
exactly.
to me, "We'll give you 10 million to fight me tomorrow," I would jump at the
I'd
chance.
do it for half price.
Yeah,
So no, I like it all. It's I think it's just good for sport and entertainment.
yeah. So because there's a lot of armchair boxing fans out there, and you see social media is terrible for it,
Yeah, it's terrible.
and like you watch a fight, and then suddenly everybody's he should have done this, he should have done this, he should have done this. These guys have never been in the gym in their life, but as a boxer, seeing like it's Jake Paul into the boxers, it's not.
Yeah, well, Logan does a bit as well, doesn't he? They both do a bit,
Yeah,
don't they?
so Jake Paul's the one who was somebody said to him a month or so ago where it was you'll never be in the boxing hall of fame because you're not boxing anybody who's an actual boxer. Do you kind of do you see him as a boxer? Is he a boxer or is he just a stooge actor?
Yeah, I mean, he is a boxer because at the end of the day, he's a boxer. He's on telly. He's got millions of people watching him. He's got a professional boxing license. So yeah,
And he's good.
he's
He's better than the average Joe,
yeah,
isn't he?
he's better than the average Joe. Is he good? As in, is he like going to be a world champion? No, far from it. But so what? He's
So
making millions.
could he? Because I do watch a little bit of it, but I'm not really up to date on it. My understanding is he's never actually boxed a boxer.
He boxed Tommy Fury, didn't he?
Oh, he boxed
He
Tommy.
boxed
Tommy beat him,
Fury.
didn't
Tommy
he?
beat him. Yeah. So but he did all right. He didn't do too bad. It was a decent enough fight. You know, Tommy's a proper boxer.
Yeah.
People get too, I don't know.
Purists,
Yeah,
boxing purists who want to
yeah,
see the top heavyweight versus the
yeah,
number one ranked heavyweight.
yeah.
And
I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it.
mm,
That's it, innit?
yeah.
Um, if you
It don't
like
bother
it,
me.
no, exactly.
I
If
like
you like it,
watching.
watch it. If you don't. It's simple as that, really.
I would prefer to see, if someone's. I don't like to. It's not that I don't like to see it. I think it's good to get a crossover, but I think if you're going to have someone who's coming out of MMA and someone who's got a boxing background and then they go in and they beat them, I would like to see them go in to the cage and
Yeah, I
do.
mean, like you say, it started off obviously with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor,
Yeah,
but there's so many, because there's so many people out there that, I mean, I'd call them deluded or whatever. I don't know what you want to call them, but the amount of people that thought Conor McGregor had a chance against Floyd Mayweather, and it's like baffling because it's like kind of disrespectful, really. You're talking about one of, if not the best boxer ever.
yeah.
And there's people out there thinking that Conor McGregor was going to beat him or had half a chance. And it's like, but when there's people out there that believe that, and then it generates massive interest, Floyd Mayweather made hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Have you ever thought about MMA?
Nah, not really. I say I have a little bit, I suppose, but it's only it's just a flutter that kind of goes straight out. Nah, not for me.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
Yeah, straight. So I suppose it's a bit. It is different, isn't it? And I know that they in MMA you box, but it is a different sport.
it's a totally different sport. It's a totally different sport. I mean, the both boxing and MMA, they're both incredibly tough sports in their own right. Boxers are going to be biased, aren't they, and say boxing is tougher. MMA fighters will be biased and say MMA is tougher. But I always remember having a conversation about the McGregor and Mayweather with somebody, and I said, "There's no chance Conor McGregor will have the gas tank
Yeah.
for 12 rounds."
Yeah.
And they were saying, "Oh, it will easy because he's only using two limbs. He's used to using his legs, his hands. He's used to doing this and that, and he has 5 minute rounds." And I was like, honestly,
It's different though.
you don't realise. I said he won't have the gas tank for boxing, I said, there's no resting places, no hiding places. I said, and he couldn't get his head around what I was trying to tell him. And obviously after, he's like, oh, he was right. I was surprised how unfit well, not unfit, but how hard he found it. And they say it's different fitnesses. It's different fitnesses. And I personally believe boxing is the hardest sport in the world in terms of conditioning and fitness and things like that. But I think different with MMA and boxing. With MMA, you get knocked down with a punch, they're straight on top of you, they finish you off, the fight can be over just like that. With boxing, you get your time, you get your 10 seconds to get up, to regroup and go again, and you can end up going 12 rounds in a boxing fight, being dropped 4, 5, 6 times, whereas MMA, it's over straight away. A bit more brutal in that sense, MMA.
I don't think the layman realises, and maybe even fans realise the level of fitness that guys like you have to get to.
It's a different level of fitness. A few people have said to me, oh, it's all right for you. You don't have to work for a living. They've said that, and I'm like, if only if you knew.
Yeah.
Only if you knew.
Yeah. Grafting.
I've been working since I was 10 years old for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
is that when it started? 10.
Yeah, I was about 10 when I first stepped in a boxing club, and from the age of I didn't do very well at school. I got chucked out of school. From the age of like 13, 14, up until the age of about 21, I used to work as well. I used to have a job. I used to work with my dad. Not every single day. I could go off and things like that, but I used to work quite a lot as well. And like you say, it's one of them things that kind of find quite offensive when they say
disgusting. That's a horrible thing to say.
It's all right for you. You don't have to work for a living. And I'm like, you have no idea.
No idea.
How easy your job is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The mindset to get that fit.
Yeah, it's kind of, a lot of it is in the mind as well, because like you say, when you first turn pro, I remember first turning pro from the amateurs, and like you'd spar 4 rounds and you'd be like, oh, how the hell am I ever going to be able to get to 12 rounds? How am I ever going to be able to get to 12 rounds fit? But it's just like, say, you adapt and you learn to do it. It's kind of like your mind just kind of learns to do it. It's weird, really, how it happens. But it's one of them, because as an amateur, when I used to run and things like that, and as a pro, so now I'm a British champion. I'm supposedly 12 round fit. As an amateur, I was only 4 round fit.
Yeah.
But my runs and things like that, and my circuits and everything, I wasn't any better when I was a pro at running or things like that. I wasn't any fitter at running or faster or anything like that. But you just get conditioned for the rounds. It's just it's they say, so a lot of it is in the mind. It's mindset.
Yeah. I see some of the gym stuff that you do, and it's insane. Them squats you were doing a couple of weeks ago, was it with Josh?
Yeah, Josh. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, we've done some mad sessions, to be fair.
How long did that take to recover your legs?
Do you know, there wasn't all that bad, but there was. Well, I'll say it wasn't that bad. There was quite sore, but there was far better than I thought there was going to be. 4 or 5 days, I was back to normal.
Yeah. So just for anybody watching, so was it 10 squats, and then we
did 20. He did 20. I did 20. He did 20. I did 20. We did it for an hour. We did 1,935 each. We did
with no rest other than when they're squatting.
Basically he went for an hour. We're just short of the 2,000, and I think what we should have done was, I think maybe like the last 10 minutes or something, we should have started doing it together and had less rest. But we like I say, we fell short of the 2,000. It's we're gonna have to do it again.
Did they stay constant, or was it when it come to your 20? After like half an hour, was it 1, 2, 3, or was it like one?
No, it was constant. It was pretty constant. Yeah, it was non-stop.
That's insane,
man. It was non-stop. Yeah, I think we fed off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And we just went for it.
So I've been thinking about doing a 24-hour gym session, like live, setting up. I've got a gym out there, setting up the YouTube, having it on a 20, and not a 24-hour constant reps. But I thought about doing it for charity and having donations. So someone donates, and I do 5 reps of whatever they donate to do. And 24 hours is a fucking long time.
A long time. There's a girl actually from the gym. She did 24 hour on the Stairmaster.
Yeah,
24. mate, I do an hour on that Stairmaster,
Yeah,
and I'm dripping. And
yeah, I can't do shit like that.
like it's an hour's plenty.
I'm not a big fan of cardio as it is.
24 hours she did. I mean, obviously she got off and had a little rest and shook her legs out and had a drink and things like that. But 20, I can't imagine being awake for 24 hours, let alone on a Stairmaster. That's some again. The mind is just your mind again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can do so many mad things with your mind. It's like back to what thinking back to lockdown. You talked about lockdown earlier.
Mm.
Some of the things I did in lockdown was crazy, but I was like, I unlocked the part of my mind that I never knew existed,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was doing some crazy things. But that's what kept me sane through lockdown. I was actually thrived through the lockdown, the
Yeah,
first one
yeah, yeah. I remember the
especially.
tyre tip.
Yeah, I
You
did
did.
the
You
tire.
inspired. I've got a massive tyre in the garden. You inspired me to get a
That
tyre.
was, but I couldn't do that now.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, physically I could, but mentally I couldn't go and do that now.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, mate. People asking me about that, saying, was it hard? And it was like, not really.
Yeah.
No, it's like kind of easy.
Yeah, and do you know I did a day with Ant Middleton a few years ago, a Mind Over Muscle day camp, and that was just it was essentially it was just an excuse just to beast a load of people for an entire day on a military camp, and it was quite nice because I kind of missed the army, so it was nice being back there with a load of ex-army guys beasting you. It was assault courses and sandbags and the stretcher carries with stuff on, and I think back now and like it was hard, and I sit here and think I'd hate to do that again, but if someone said, do you want to go do this and train with these? And I'd be, yeah, man, I'd fucking love to do that. And you get in that mindset of just got to do it, just got to keep going, just got to keep going.
You have to learn to enjoy it. You have to like when I go in the gym and I do some of my sessions that I do, some of them are a little bit crazy, really, but I just love feeling that way. You know,
Yeah.
look for the pain, and you know when you can kind of get in the mindset of look for that pain, and enjoy the pain when it comes. You're there, and you've cracked it. You can kind of go through anything.
I mean, you're pretty big at the moment.
I'm 15 stone, 15 stone 2.
So the comeback,
Cruiserweight, yeah.
That's a step up.
Yeah, step up. It's a step up. I was 12 stone 7 light heavyweight. Was 12 stone 7, and that was partly one of the biggest reasons why I ended up kind of calling it a day, because I just couldn't get to the weight anymore.
That's lean for your height. You're 6 foot.
Yeah, 6 foot, just short. I was so I was making 12 stone 7. I've been making that weight since I was 20 years old, and it just got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if I could get to 12 stone 7.
Just killing me. It was killing me. And I remember I was about 4 weeks out from that European title fight, and I was nearly a stone over the weight, and I felt dead.
Yeah.
You know, I was so skinny, so drawn. I was dehydrated. I was weak. And I was just like, I can't do it anymore. And that was the main point that made me go, well, I'm done. So now, coming back at cruiserweight, which is 14 stone 4, 200 pounds, which is relatively, I won't say easy to make, but comfortable.
Does that change your performance at all?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, it'll give me more energy, more strength. Not feeling the way I was feeling, like feeling weak and everything else. So it definitely helped in that sense. Obviously, I'm 38 now, so I'm getting old. I'm getting old in terms of fighting, if you like, in a combat sport. 38's old, isn't it? But at the same time, you know, I've not had loads of hard fights. I've not got a lot of miles on the clock, so I'm quietly confident that I'll be all right. You know, for another year or two.
And when do you think the comeback will be?
I'm hoping this year, and I'm hoping it's going to be
this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping this year. Was looking at kind of October, but I think it's probably going to be more like November now, if I'm honest. I'm having my medicals on Friday, tomorrow. So it's balls get rolling, and I'm hoping we can get the comeback in Boston at the Glidodrome.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So that's we've had all the meetings we need to have. It's kind of a go ahead. It's just now it's kind of sorting the finer things and getting it done, really.
Oh, that'd be amazing if that happens.
I think it will.
You do know that there's going to be people fucking queuing out the door to get in
Well,
there.
everyone's saying this, which I I hope so. I hope so. I
You
think
fill it.
obviously there'll be a capacity limit. I think we're looking around 1,200. But again, that's something that's still got to be sorted out. Um, but hopefully it'll be a success and a sellout, and it can happen again as well, because it's never
Yeah.
happened before in the town, has it?
No,
Either.
no.
I don't think we've ever had a professional boxing event in the town.
It'll be good
Um,
for the town. It needs some good publicity.
yeah, definitely, definitely, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, but it's never really come about.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's come about, and it excites me. Speaking about fighting in front of 15,000 at the O2, and I fought in front of thousands in Chicago when I fought for the world title. I fought in front of thousands in New York. I fought in front of thousands in Manchester. But fighting in front of 1,200 people, of my hometown people, at the glider, that'd be a special.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that'd be more special than any of the others I mentioned.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I'm very, very confident it'll happen this year.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Any thoughts of an opponent?
No, again, not. We need to get the. It's
Yeah, yeah.
confirmed that it's definitely going to happen. Then the opponent will be kind of sorted. I think it'll probably be an 8-round fight. It won't be like it won't be a title fight, but it'll be an 8-rounder. Be against a tough opponent as well, because one needs to be,
Mm.
because I don't want any easy fights
Yeah, yeah.
anyway. And two, I wouldn't get an easy fight anyway. I don't think they'd pass it. It'd have to be a credible opponent for,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
boxing board not to pass it. So I think it'd be a tough 8-round fight to get back in and see what I've got left.
What if so again, just to excuse my ignorance a little bit on it, because I know I'm 40 years old now, and I know we're not talking pro, you're pro, but I know that if I go to jiu-jitsu tonight and I've got to roll with a fucking 20-year-old lad, it don't matter if me and him are the same, the same level, I'm not going to be able to go with him for as long. Is it the same when you start getting older in boxing? So your comeback fight, you've got to go in against a 22-year-old. Is that going to be
Yeah.
a hard fight?
Again, it depends. It depends. With age comes experience.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got the experience, and I say I've lived clean. I've lived
Mm.
clean. Don't get me wrong. I've got fat a few times in my life, and I've had too much sugar and things like that. But I've never been a drinker. I've never really drunk too much, and I've never taken drugs. So I've never abused my body in that way. So I'm pretty. And as they say, that some of the things I do, I'm very fit and strong
Yeah, yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So, but again, these are questions I can't really answer
Until you get
until
there.
it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously the work's done in the gym. Um, I'll be doing the rounds in the gym, so when it comes to fight night, I'm ready and equipped to do it. So
And
we'll see.
38's not 50, is it?
No,
Do you
no,
know what I mean? It's not. It's not old. No, I do think of me as a little bit old now, but it's not. Again, this is a
no. Yeah,
mindset thing,
mindset
isn't
thing.
it?
That's what some people always say about 38. You're old at 38, and I'm like, nah, nah. You might be old at 38. I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't put that to me. Don't spread that negativity around me, because I'm not old.
Yeah, I seen this. I
Um,
seen this picture a couple of days ago on social media. I wish I'd saved it now. And it was of two women, and it said both these women are 60-year-old, and one of them was sat in a chair with a little hat on, all huddled up in the blanket, and the other one was a bodybuilder.
yeah,
And
that's
she
it.
stood there like that,
Like
and
I say, it's a mindset thing. It's the way you live your life, habits. Some people are old at 38. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but that's because they've not looked after themselves, or maybe in terms of boxing, they've had so many tough fights, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're just worn out. But I'm not. So I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not deluded as well. I'm not 25, but I'm actually stronger now than I was when I was 25. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
And you put the effort in.
Yeah,
You've got to put the
exactly.
effort in.
Yeah, exactly. And they say we can only really answer that question when the time
Find out
comes.
before the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Awesome. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up because we've done about an hour.
Oh,
And I don't want to keep you too long because I know
I'm all right.
you're
I'm
a
enjoying the
busy
chat, to be
guy.
honest.
We'll wrap it up in a minute, but I just wanted to talk about this because my passion does lie in. I would really like this town to develop more, but my passion really lies in helping people, and specifically helping young people. I love what I do. I could probably earn 5 times what I earn if I really wanted to, but I like working with the kids I work with. Do you think that getting kids into sport is essential, and do you think we do enough of it in the UK?
I think it's essential. Do we do enough of it? I don't know. I think no, and I think like I don't know what you think about this. Like about all the schools sports days, and a lot of schools don't have a winner or loser, and
No.
I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's bollocks. Listen, whether you're 10 years old, 12 years old, even 8 years old, you have to learn to win or lose, because all through your life you're gonna win or lose.
Yeah.
No, like back when I was a kid, you went sports day. If you lost, I remember when a story for you when I went. I always get my hair cut with a friend of mine called Fonzie.
I know Fonzie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember.
Is he still cutting?
Yeah. He's still going strong. So before the Commonwealth Games, I used to always go in to have an haircut, pre-fight haircut with Fonz before I'd go away to a country or whatever. So I went in to see him before the Commonwealth Games, and he's cutting me hair. And he said to me, "If you win gold, kid," he said, "you've got 3 haircuts for life." Yeah. And I said, "What about if I win silver though, Fonz, or bronze?" He went, "Nah." He said, "Then you'll have to pay for your haircuts." He said, "If you win gold, 3 haircuts for life." He said, "Oh, I don't want to hear about silver or bronze." He said, "You've lost." And it's right. It's right. You don't get anything for second place or third place. Yeah, you get a consolation prize. And that's how kids should be brought up in schools, I think, because it makes for stronger characters, it makes for stronger personalities and stronger adults.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for getting there, for competing at any level. My kids have both done kickboxing competitions. My daughter's done gymnastic competitions. And I think anyone at any level that gets and competes anywhere has already won and succeeded.
100%.
But when you're doing that, there shouldn't be, let's give everybody a medal.
No.
Even some of the kickboxing competitions we've been to, every kid that gets on the mats gets a medal. Everyone.
It's not teaching them, like you say, they've done well to be there, they're doing themselves proud of it. As long as they're being the best version of themselves, they give everything in training, they give everything on the mat or in competition, whatever it is they're doing, then they're a winner. Yeah, because they've give everything they've got. But I'm afraid, in life, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
You've got to learn disappointment.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for coming on. I do really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed being interviewed.
It's been good, man. I've enjoyed it.
What I'll do is I'll edit it all. I'll edit it and watch it and see how it is, and then I'll upload it and keep it as a private video, and then I'll send you the link so you can have a look at it first, just to make sure.
Stick it on. Don't worry about it.
You sure?
Yeah, I don't care, man. I've got no. I'm when you'd like just comfortable with who you
course,
are.
Man. Yeah.
Just stick it on.
I think it's important. I think that's important to be who you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't already given a thumbs up to the video, please give a thumbs up. Make sure you hit subscribe. Achieve your goals. Choose life.